Barbara Eden, who is 93, recently shown why Hollywood is obsessed with her. The outrageous revelations from I Dream of Jeannie star are finally being made public. The startling approach from Tom Jones when they were both married. The secret phone number of JFK. And the infamous dispute around her belly button that almost cost her her job. However, that isn't even the most juicy aspect. Hold on till you learn the truth about Larry Hagman's experience on site. And why she didn't say anything about it for half a century. On August 23, 1931, Barbara Eden was born in Tucson, Arizona, as Barbara Jean Moorhead. Families across were having a hard time making ends meet during the height of the Great Depression. Alice and Hubert Moorhead, her parents, tried their hardest to establish a successful life for themselves. However, funds were limited and the future was unclear. Despite the difficulties, Barbara's family history had a unique quality. She had a relationship to one of the most important people in America because she was descended from Benjamin Franklin. Barbara's parents separated when she was 3 years old. In search of a new beginning, her mother brought her to San Francisco. New house, but it wasn't an easy life. In the end, Alice remarried and married telephone lineman Harrison Connor Huffman. Now that Barbara had a half-sister, their family made do with what they had. Money was a constant worry. Alice, however, managed to lift their spirits. She filled their home with music as she sang to her girls. For Barbara, those times were consoling and motivating. Her upbringing in San Francisco influenced her in ways she was unaware of at the time. She resided in the well-rooted and close-knit Parkside neighborhood. Her forebears had come to the city on clipper ships and covered wagons, and her family had been there for generations, but history didn't cover the expenses. Barbara also discovered early on that she needed to work for her goals. She began utilizing her gift to support her family when she was a teenager. She began performing with local bands after singing in church choirs. She wasn't merely having fun. Her family needed the money that singing brought in. She made $10 a night performing in nightclubs. At the time, it was significant, and it provided her with experience, which is much more precious. She collaborated with bands under the direction of Freddie Martin and Howard Frederick. She gained confidence from performing in front of live crowds and learning how to control a stage. She improved every night, and each performance brought her one step closer to her goal. Her first interest was music, but she began to consider acting as a potential career path. She bravely joined Actors Equity at the age of 16. It demonstrated her commitment to performance. In addition to studying singing at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, she received training at the Elizabeth Holloway School of Theater. She received her diploma from Abraham Lincoln High School in 1949. She attended City College of San Francisco for the next year, studying theater and getting ready for her next professional move. Then an unexpected event occurred. She competed in a beauty contest in 1951 as Barbara Huffman. She was in the spotlight all of a sudden after winning the title of Miss San Francisco. She also participated in the Miss California pageant. It didn't matter that she didn't win. She gained confidence from the encounter. Even though she had been performing for years, she was finally receiving attention. Barbara Eden began her television career with modest but significant milestones. She made an appearance on The Johnny Carson Show in 1955. The opportunity to play on a national stage was her first significant opportunity. Even though television was still relatively new at the time, being on a variety show gave you access to millions of viewers. Producers were interested in Eden's acting abilities, which she displayed in addition to her singing. People were drawn to her because of the vitality they perceived in her. She made an appearance on I Love Lucy shortly after. This was not your typical acting gig. One of the most well-known television personalities was Lucille Ball. Working with her was something that every aspiring young actress would have hoped to do. Ball dominated every aspect of her performance and had impeccable comedic timing. Eden had the opportunity to learn from the greatest by sharing the screen with her. Despite its modest size, the position helped Eden gain recognition in the field. Her career wasn't a coincidence. From an early age, Eden's mother recognized her talent. She informed her that singing was insufficient on its own. Acting could help her make up for the lack of emotion in her performances. Eden enrolled at the Elizabeth Holloway School of Theater after taking this suggestion seriously. Her training equipped her with the abilities and self-assurance to assume increasingly challenging responsibilities. She began appearing as a guest on well-known programs. She portrayed a variety of roles in Perry Mason, The Millionaire, Private Secretary, and Highway Patrol. Each of these contributed to her experience, even though none were leading parts. There were challenges with each new set. Each director had their own style. She gained fresh knowledge every time she appeared in front of a camera. Then the discovery was made. She was chosen for the 1957 season of How to Marry a Millionaire. The 1953 movie, which starred Marilyn Monroe, Betty Grable, and Lauren Bacall, was adapted for television. 3 young women in New York City who all want to wed affluent men were the focus of the show. Eden was one of the main characters in the lighthearted comedy. She has never been a series regular before. There were 2 seasons of the show. Working on a sitcom demanded quick-witted, humorous timing, and the production moved quickly. Eden needed to develop her ability to respond fast, deliver jokes, and give her character a genuine feel. It was difficult for her to keep up with weekly scripts, but she quickly adjusted. She gained vital experience as a leading lady, despite the series' brief 52-episode run. She was prepared for something more significant by 1960. Flaming Star, a Western drama starring Elvis Presley, was her first significant film appearance. This was a serious story, in contrast to the most of his earlier films. Presley portrayed a man torn between his white family and his Kiowa ancestry. Eden portrayed a woman entangled in the struggle, Rosalind Pierce. This was hardly a simple romance. Her performance demonstrated her ability to handle tragic roles in a film that was full of genuine emotion. Flaming Star got great reviews and peaked at number 12 at the box office. Presley demonstrated that he was more than just a vocalist by receiving accolades for his acting. The next year, Eden tackled Irwin Allen's science fiction adventure Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. She portrayed Lieutenant Kathy Connors this time. Action and futuristic storytelling were combined in this film about a submarine team dealing with a worldwide calamity. As science fiction gained popularity, this movie rose to prominence as one of the genre's largest releases. For Eden, it was an opportunity to demonstrate her versatility. From comedy to drama to action, she had changed, demonstrating her versatility in terms of style. Despite these achievements, getting into Hollywood wasn't simple. There were many young actresses vying for fame in the profession. There were dozens of people to compete with at each audition. Eden had to put forth more effort to stand out because rejection was a part of the process. When Barbara Eden played Jeannie in I Dream of Jeannie in 1965, her life was permanently altered. Sidney Sheldon was the creator of the fantasy sitcom. And it ran from September 18, 1965, to May 26, 1970, for 5 seasons. Eden became a TV sensation because of this one role. She portrayed a funny, mischievous, and incredibly loyal 2,000-year-old Jeannie to her master, astronaut Tony Nelson. However, Eden's contributions to the role went beyond charm and magic skills. She gave Jeannie a sense of humor, wit, and individuality. The show's original intent was to be somber. But after Eden was cast, that soon changed. The show's playful tone came from her innate sense of humor. The sitcom was centered on her relationship with Larry Hagman, who played Tony Nelson. Tony was rational and well-behaved. Jeannie had a lot of energy and was impetuous. Every episode was fascinating because of their persistent tugging. When Tony's space mission went awry, the story started. He discovered an ancient bottle buried on the sand after crashing onto a secluded island. He opened it, and a stunning woman emerged as smoke billowed out. Declaring Tony her master, she introduced herself as Jeannie. He found what he was seeing hard to accept. But before he knew it, she had returned to his house in Cocoa Beach, Florida, using her abilities to get them off the island. That was the end of his peaceful existence. Despite her desire to assist Tony, Jeannie's magic frequently led to more problems than it solved. Everything always went wrong, whether she was attempting to make Tony's life simpler or impress his boss. To exacerbate the situation, Tony was forced to conceal her from his friends and colleagues. Eventually, his best friend Roger Healy, Bill Daly, learned and adored every second of it. However, NASA psychiatrist Dr. Bellows was always wary. He believed Tony was concealing something every time something odd occurred. Eden's bond with the character remained strong after I Dream of Jeannie concluded in 1970. Reruns of the show continued to be successful, and Jeannie's escapades captured the hearts of new generations. In reunion specials, Eden played the part again, and she continued to receive recognition for it decades later. Larry Hagman, on the other hand, was an exceptionally talented actor, but his conduct on the set of I Dream of Jeannie was anything but typical. His mood swings were unpredictable, and those around him were frequently shocked by his outbursts. He didn't simply grumble when he didn't like a script. He elevated the situation. He frequently peed on the scripts or even portions of the set. This was no ordinary outburst. The cast and crew had to cope with it on a regular basis. His erratic behavior extended beyond his short fuse. Addiction was the driving force. Hagman utilized amphetamines and nicotine in the early seasons of I Dream of Jeannie in the hopes of maintaining his energy levels and controlling his weight. He was unaware of their addictive nature. They had a significant negative impact on his behavior over time. Eventually, he gave up, but the harm was already done. His crazy activities were the subject of more and more stories. He once unexpectedly up on set wearing a gorilla suit. He also experienced one of his darkest times when a group of nuns came to the studio. Ignorant of their existence, he was yelling, swearing, and swung an axe about. Finally, the network took over. In the hopes that it would help, NBC recommended that he consult a therapist. However, the therapist advised him to try LSD and marijuana instead of helping him relax. The situation was exacerbated by that guidance. His co-star, Barbara Eden, witnessed it all. She never downplayed his ability to be challenging, but she also saw something significant. Somehow, the show benefited from his insane energy. Their characters developed conflict as a result, which enhanced the entertainment value of I Dream of Jeannie. Audiences were captivated by their chemistry, even though chaos existed behind the scenes. Later in life, Hagman's personal troubles caught up with him. He had to have a liver transplant in the middle of the 1990s due to severe health problems brought on by his drinking addiction. He persisted in acting despite his difficulties till his passing in 2012 at the age of 81. In Hollywood, Barbara Eden had her own memorable experiences. She had an appearance as a guest on the well-known variety show This Is Tom Jones in 1969. Tom Jones made an unexpected approach to her while they were filming. He didn't appear to care that they were both married. Later, Eden remembered that she reminded him that she was married in a courteous manner. Jones simply grinned and remarked, "So what? I am, too." There were other occasions when a well-known man showed interest in her. She met John F. Kennedy at an airport in 1957. In a subtle but clear invitation, he gave her a letter with his phone number on it. She didn't give him a call. However, the tale turned into one of her career's many intriguing moments. Eden maintained her professionalism throughout. She never allowed Hollywood to alter who she was, even though it sometimes be overpowering. She contributed to both the Sonny and Cher show and the Carol Burnett show. She appeared in the stage versions of Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and The Sound of Music. In 1967, she even put out an album titled Miss Barbara Eden. Because she concentrated on her work rather than the distractions around her, her career lasted for decades. However, the so-called belly button incident sparked a greater media frenzy than anything else in her career. It began with a straightforward observation. I Dream of Jeannie never showed Eden's tummy button, as one reporter noted. Absurd discussion erupted from that single comment. There were rumors that NBC had stringent policies regarding it. According to some, the network made her cover it up by making her wear a flesh-colored plug. Eden consistently denied this. She clarified that the tale had been exaggerated and that her gown naturally covered her navel. Laugh-In creator and comedian George Schlatter made a joke about showing Eden's belly button on his show during the height of the craze. NBC quickly put an end to the concept, which only increased public interest in it. Some even attempted to defend the choice by claiming that Jeannie wouldn't have a belly button in the first place because she is a magical genie. The truth was far more straightforward. The media twisted the outfit designer's decision into a controversy. Barbara Eden remained in the public eye after I Dream of Jeannie. She demonstrated that she was more than just the well-known genie by continuously coming up with fresh methods to amuse crowds. Following the show, Harper Valley PTA, a movie that became a TV series, was one of her most prominent appearances. The story was inspired by a popular country song about Stella Johnson, a bereaved mother who confronts the hypocritical residents of her tiny town. Because of the film's success, NBC chose to make it a series in 1981. Eden reprised her role as Stella, this time in charge of a program that combined humor and social criticism. The series initially centered on Stella's battle against the local PTA. Always one step ahead of the town's so-called respectable citizens, she exposed their double standards. However, as the show progressed, attention turned to her private life. She dealt with her eccentric uncle, Winslow Homer Smith, while raising her daughter, Dee. There were many oddballs in the community, such as the snooty Riley family, who were always at odds with Stella. Eden gave Stella wit, courage, and humor. She demonstrated a different side of herself by stepping away from the fantastical realm of Jeannie and demonstrating her ability to play a more grounded protagonist in a comedy. For 2 seasons, Harper Valley PTA operated. It made an effect even though it didn't stay as long as some had planned. Later, the sitcom got a second life when it was broadcast in syndication. TV Land revived it in 2000, showcasing Eden's work outside of Jeannie to a younger audience. It demonstrated that she has a gift that was unaffected by time. Eden had a career outside of television. She became well known on stage as well. She played Maria on the Sound of Music's 1965 national tour. Some fans were taken aback by this since they were unaware of her singing abilities. However, she demonstrated that she has the enthusiasm and voice for a major musical. She performed in Love Letters, a play of an entirely different genre, years later. The story of a man and woman who corresponded for nearly 50 years was told in this performance. The players read their letters aloud throughout the show, which created a personal and poignant experience. The fact that Eden sang love letters with her I Dream of Jeannie co-star Larry Hagman was one of the film's greatest pleasures. For longtime fans, seeing them together again brought back fond memories. Their chemistry remained strong, and their performances enhanced the impact of the tale of love, grief, and lost opportunities. This drama was more serious and poignant than Jeannie. Eden demonstrated a whole new manner of affecting viewers, demonstrating her versatility as a performer. Eden stayed recognizable despite the changes on television. She made 5 appearances in the last season of Dallas, once more sharing the screen with Larry Hagman. However, their relationship was different this time. Dallas was a drama with huge stakes. A far cry from I Dream of Jeannie's whimsical charm. Fans who had enjoyed their collaboration years before found Eden's scenes with Hagman particularly poignant, and her role added a fresh perspective to the show's last moments. However, she didn't abandon comedy. She played Sabrina's great Aunt Irma in the 2002 season of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. This part allowed her to return to the magical realm from her time as Jeannie, but with a fresh twist. Her humorous performance served as a reminder to the audience of why she had been so popular for so long. Heartbreak, love, and success were all part of Barbara Eden's life. Although she rose to fame on television, she had to overcome obstacles that helped mold her into the resilient woman she is now. Love and family brought her the most happiness, but they also brought her the most suffering. She wed actor Michael Ansara in 1958. Despite years of trying, they were unable to conceive. It seemed miraculous when their son, Matthew, was born in 1965. Since they had been waiting so long for him, she referred to him as their lucky charm baby. Life was ideal for a time. However, as Matthew grew older, things changed. At the age of 10, he was first exposed to marijuana. He and other children in the San Fernando Valley got it from a neighbor. What began as a minor experiment evolved into an addiction battle. He made an effort to clean up throughout the years. Although his parents' love, treatment, and rehabilitation occasionally helped, the battle never truly ended. Matthew lost his fight in 2001. At the age of 35, he overdosed on heroin and died. Barbara was devastated by the news. She placed the blame on herself. She was powerless. She kept asking herself if she could have saved him in any way. However, she chose to speak up rather than let her grief to consume her. In order to support other families dealing with addiction, she shared her story. She sought to transform her suffering into something worthwhile. She had previously experienced another tragic loss decades before she lost Matthew. She became pregnant once more in 1971. She was ready to have another baby, almost 8 months along. Then the news reached her. In the womb, the baby had passed away. She was overcome with shock and grief. Depression was hardly spoken at the time. She was lonely. She made an effort to move on, but the loss still weighed heavily on her. She had already experienced difficulties in her marriage to Sarah and Michael. His career was winding down, while Barbara's was flourishing. Emotional detachment and financial strain exacerbated the situation. They separated in 1974, having been together for 15 years. She had been much more depressed after losing her child. And it had driven them more apart. Matthew spent more time with his father following the divorce. Although distance made it more difficult to be involved, Barbara was concerned about him. It was around this time when his addiction began. She felt as though she had lost control when she looked back. Despite her desire to support him, life had taken them in opposite directions. She married Chicago Sun-Times executive Charles Fiegeard in 1977. Things appeared to be going well for a time. This marriage, however, was unique. It was short-lived. They got divorced in 1983. She was preoccupied with Matthew's deteriorating addiction during this period, in addition to her career. All of it became too much to bear. Then an unforeseen event occurred. She got to know real estate developer John Eichholz in 1991. He was patient and nice. Above all, he gave her a sense of calm that she had never experienced before. She felt genuinely stable for the first time in a long time when they got married. Everything. Barbara Eden never gave up. She made meaning out of her suffering. She discussed addiction in order to assist others. With John, she was happy once more. She discovered that although life never turns out as planned, you must keep moving forward. You remember the people you lost, and you cling to the love you have. Although her journey was full with heartache, it was also one of perseverance. Though she is renowned for bringing enchantment to television, Barbara Eden's influence extends well beyond the screen. She has devoted years of her life to serving others and promoting issues that are dear to her. Her commitment has benefited organizations such as the American Cancer Society, the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and Save the Children. These organizations work to support cancer research, aid children, and fulfill the wishes of people with terminal illnesses. Publicity is not Eden's motivation for this work. It's about actually changing things. She is more than just a donor. She has taken an active part in campaigns, charity initiatives, and fundraising activities. Her involvement with the Trail of Painted Ponies Breast Cancer Research Initiative is among her most significant accomplishments. This group raises money for breast cancer research by auctioning off hand-painted horse sculptures, fusing art and charity. Eden has utilized her platform to raise awareness of the idea that creativity can unite people. Additionally, she has backed the wellness community, which offers emotional and psychological support to those who are struggling. Child Help USA, a group dedicated to stopping child abuse and assisting victims in their recovery, is another subject that holds great significance for her. Eden has a very personal reason for being dedicated to these causes. She has talked about how her personal hardships have increased her empathy for other people's suffering. She feels that it is our duty to give back, and her commitment has motivated many of her fans to do the same. Her book, Jeannie Out of the Bottle, published in 2011, provided a unique glimpse into the life of the renowned character. It details how she went from being a young, struggling actor to becoming well-known. But her story goes beyond stardom. Her own struggles, such as heartache, loss, and resiliency, are revealed in the book. The 2001 heroin overdose death of her son, Matthew and Sarah, was one of the most agonizing periods of her life. Despite the tragedy's devastating effects, she decided to spread awareness about drug addiction rather than let her grief to control her. She has publicly discussed the risks of substance usage in the hopes that her experience may be helpful to others. There have also been other setbacks in her personal life. During her first marriage, she suffered the stillbirth of a child, and she later had to deal with Charles Fiegeard, her second husband, who battled addiction. She never lost her strength in spite of these trying times. She talks about the difficulties of portraying several Jeannie characters and her experiences working with Larry Hagman. She also discusses her experiences in Hollywood, the people she met, and the things she's learned. The book feels like a discussion with an old friend because of the warmth, humor, and honesty with which she writes. The book features 16 pages of images in addition to her thoughts, providing admirers with a visual tour of her life and career. Despite being 93, Barbara Eden has been in the public eye for decades and doesn't appear to be slowing down. She was awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame on November 17, 1988. She received an honorary Doctor of Laws degree from the University of West Los Angeles Law School 2 years later. These accolades acknowledged her extraordinary influence, but her commitment to her art and her followers is what really makes her stand out. Eden continues to participate in the entertainment industry and make public appearances, in contrast to many other celebrities from her time. She promotes charitable causes, does interviews, and goes to conventions. Her enthusiasm and vigor have not diminished. She is exactly as pleasant and vibrant as she was during her I Dream of Jeannie days, according to fans who meet her now. She went to the Hazard Fest Autograph Convention exhibition in October 2023. She made an appearance at the Rhode Island Comic Con a month later. There's more to these activities than merely signing autographs. For Eden, they serve as a means of establishing a connection with those who have long followed her work. She tells tales, responds to inquiries, and reminds everyone of the reasons she initially gained such a devoted following.